Happy Friday, everyone. My name is Ian McNaughton, filling in for Tony Wolak, who's settling into Matthew Stafford's old place in Detroit. Congratulations, Tony. This is the Hockey Writers Grind Line, the Red Wings Roundtable for the Hockey Writers, with a twist. We have some Blackhawks Banter members joining us this evening to discuss the last two games that happened this week between the Blackhawks and the Red Wings. But for the past 5 years, the Grind Line has been a weekly column for the hockey writers, and now we're coming to you live. We're excited for another opportunity to discuss the latest Red Wings news, rumors, strategy with the Hockeytown faithful, again, with a little twist with the Blackhawks. And before we dive in, let's meet the people that are with us tonight. First, to my left on the Zoom call is Pat Brown. Pat, how are you this evening?
I am doing great. Quick shout out to my friend Alan. True story, Jeopardy champion yesterday. Good for you, Alan. I'm taping tonight, so can't wait to see how it goes tonight. But congrats, buddy.
What a flex that is, Jeopardy champion.
We're out of the gate, guys. We are out of the gate.
Wow. Okay. Also from the Red Wings tonight, Devin. Devin, do you have somebody who's a Jeopardy champion in your life?
I was just gonna say a shout out to my friends who are not Jeopardy champions, but hey, yeah, I'm doing good. How's everybody else doing?
I think we're all good. Also, so we got two members from the Blackhawks Banter crew tonight. Brooke, first, how are you tonight?
Good. Hi, guys. Merry Christmas from my Christmas tree.
Merry Christmas.
Christmas in February. You don't get that very often. And then also joining us from Blackhawks Banter, Nimrit. Nimrit, how are you tonight?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to make my Blackhawks debut here on live for the first time. I'm excited to chat with you guys.
I was going to say, like the rest of the Blackhawks this year, it seems to be a lot of, rookies, youngsters who are, pushing them ahead this season. So I'm glad that we can carry that over to the Hockey Writers, Grind Line live shows pretty much. So I guess we should just get into it. So on Monday and Wednesday, the Blackhawks and the Red Wings squared off. From my perspective, they weren't that great of games because the Red Wings lost most of them. But I know that's subjective. We're gonna go. Let's talk about the takeaways that we got from the last two games. Pat, I'll start with you. What were your big takeaways from these last two games for the Red Wings?
If you want to beat the Red Wings, take penalties. Because if you put the Red Wings on the power play, they are not going to score. They have shown that over their last, I haven't seen what's on tonight, but they didn't score a power play goal yet tonight. So 29, 30 power play opportunities. Brutal. Absolutely brutal. So frustration on special teams, frustration on defense. Was happy with what the Red Wings did in the face-off circle. To be honest, I thought they did well in the face-off circle and generated some quality chances, but just couldn't put the puck in the back of the net. And the defense just isn't there. Stecher got absolutely undressed on that goal in the game a couple days ago. So it's just more of the same from what we've seen. I think they're a little bit more competitive in games now than what we saw earlier in the year, but the wins still are not coming.
Yeah, no wins for the Red Wings. Devin, what did you see out of the last two games for Detroit that stood out to you?
So, like Pat kind of just said, these two games were a lot more competitive than the first two earlier in the season, which, it's a positive development for sure, but disheartening to still see two losses, especially that first one. Apparently, Kevin Lankinen is kryptonite for the Red Wings, so good for him. I do know who he is now. And Kurashev is the second coming of Patrick Kane, so good for you guys. Meanwhile, we've got a bunch of guys, so looking forward to seeing the state of this rebuild. But in all seriousness, I do think that the Red Wings deserved a better fate in that first game. I think they were the better team, and that's not my bias coming out. The second game, I thought that was a very even goaltenders duel type of game. And it just kind of came down to that one crazy play by Kurashev.
So I'll throw it over to Brooke. What were your takeaways just from a Blackhawks fan who was watching that, going up against the Red Wings for the second sort of series between the two teams this series? What were your takeaways?
I was actually shocked, to be honest, because I thought you guys did play better than the last time we faced each other. And I actually thought the Blackhawks played a little worse this series than we've seen. So I actually did expect a little bit of a different outcome. So that was kind of my takeaway. And Bernier surprised me a lot, actually, because I was really excited when I saw he was starting. Like, oh my gosh, we could score a heck of a ton on this guy. And he actually made it pretty hard. So I'm actually surprised that you guys did come out with 2 losses, because I didn't think we looked very good for a lot of the series. So I feel kind of bad for you guys. But you guys said about you guys on the power play suck. But if you guys want us to win, stay out of the box. That's
a fact.
For sure. Night and day.
It's really noticeable. Nimmer, what were your thoughts on these last 2 games between the Red Wings and the Blackhawks?
Well, I noticed that the Blackhawks actually struggled on their power play. We had like a total of 6 penalties, and we only got 1 being successful. So I have to give credit to the Red Wings. You guys really defended the power play really well, even though you guys aren't the best penalty killing team. But the Blackhawks are one of the best power play teams. So credit to you guys. And I think from the Blackhawks standpoint, that's something that we got to take a look at, because we know we can obviously play better than that. But definitely credit to you guys, along with the face-offs that you guys like us on.
I mean, Detroit. It feels like with Detroit, you're just trying to like push like to another level being a Red Wings fan. Like, there's something there, and you still just, for whatever reason, just it hasn't happened. And that was a great example against the Blackhawks in these last 2 games. There's something there, but there's just nothing. Absolutely nothing. I want to talk about the state of the rivalry, because when we were coming into this season with the new divisions, with the new realignment, a lot of us were excited that the Red Wings and the Blackhawks would finally meet on a regular basis again. Red Wings fans are maybe not as keen to play the Blackhawks now as before the season, and Blackhawk fans, I'm sure, are really happy when they see the Red Wings on their schedule. But Pat, I'll start with you again. Like, how do you feel like the state of the rivalry is going right now with the Red Wings and Blackhawks after these games?
I'm going to be interested to hear what Brooke and Nimrit have to say, because I'm sad saying this. I don't feel much of a rivalry. I don't know if it's because of lack of fans, maybe. Just fans not being in the building. Maybe it doesn't feel the same. When they were in Chicago, you don't hear Detroit sucks, so it didn't get me all riled up, I can tell you that. So that may be part of it. It may just be the fact that the Red Wings have yet to win a game. So even though the last 2, as we said, were somewhat competitive, the Blackhawks still came out on top. And I wish it felt, it might be just because the Red Wings are so lousy that there's not a whole lot to look forward to when they're playing. And that makes me sad to say. But I don't know. Maybe this is how Blackhawks fans felt back in the early 2000s, late 90s, when the table was kind of turned a little bit. But I don't feel much of a rivalry anymore, and that makes me really sad to say.
Devin, I'm curious to hear what you have to say about the rivalry between the Red Wings and the Blackhawks right now.
So I think there will always be kind of that there's always a rivalry based on history, right? These are both original 6 franchises, and they're right across Lake Michigan from each other. It's across every single sport. Detroit and Chicago are pretty much guaranteed rivals, whether it's the Tigers and the White Sox or Cubs, Pistons and the Bulls, etc. But to Pat's point, the intensity and the passion between the Red Wings and the Blackhawks just isn't where it has been in the past. And I do think that the Wings move to the Eastern Conference has played a big role in that. They just don't see each other as much as they used to. And again, like Pat said, the Wings are in the basement. The Hawks were winning Stanley Cups. It's hard to manifest a rivalry when one team is losing every game and the other team is winning every game. That being said, I do think that I can speak from a personal standpoint. I've said it in the Red Wings Weekly that we do. I still hate losing to the Blackhawks. It sucks. And I don't think that'll ever change, no matter how much fun I have with you guys, Nimrit and Brooke. I hate seeing your team win, especially when it's at my team's loss, you know.
Again, it's weird being a Red Wings fan now and having to watch these kind of games where you're losing to a rival. Brooke, from a Blackhawks perspective, you know, it seems like there's like a whole kind of momentum change in this rivalry from the beginning of the season to now. How do you feel about beating the Red Wings, facing the Red Wings in these rivalry games?
Well, I think Devin kind of took the words right out of my mouth. I thought the same thing. We just don't see each other as much. And so it's kind of like, to be honest, when I was watching the game, like, shame on me. I was like, who are these players? Because we just don't see you guys. So I'm kind of unfamiliar with your team now. And also, we don't have any like playmakers that we did back then. You know, we're not trading off Marian Hossa anymore. Jalmerson, Taves, no one else is like in there. So I think that kind of impacts things too. But I will say, you guys, thank you. You like turned our whole season around. It started in that first series when we won against you guys, and then we did it again. But even though, like I said, you guys did deserve better in this series, but I agree with you guys. It's tough to lose to any original six team when you are an original six team, especially you guys, because of the history. And I'm kind of disappointed with how the rivalry has played out. You'd think it would be a little frisky or feisty or anything like that. We haven't really gotten much out of it except the fact that we're beating you guys. I wish there was a little more to it. I mean, I'm happy with the outcome, but it is different, like you said.
Did you just say, except for the fact that we're beating you guys? Is that
Yeah, really.
Way to slide that one right in there, bro.
I'm looking for blood here.
Yeah, I like it.
Nimrit, your thoughts on the rivalry and how the games are turning out so far.
Kind of like what Pat said, it's kind of tough to call it a rivalry when the Blackhawks are doing so well and the Red Wings are near the bottom. But I still think, but maybe it might not be as strong as it used to be. But a really big factor I think plays is not having fans there. I feel like the players feed off the fans when there's like a big rivalry game. So that's like a really big thing that the players, I feel like, they look out for. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, and speaking personally, so I'm in Canada, like I'm in Vancouver, and all I hear about is the Canadian division and all the intense games going on between the Leafs and the Habs, or the Canucks and the Flames, or whoever. Especially when you get the Kachucks involved, then it really intensifies. But it kind of feels like there's like the Canadian division in terms of intensity, and then there's everything else. And unfortunately, that includes the Central and even the Eastern division, where there are some rivalries there, where it doesn't just quite, for myself, have the same effect as it does in Canada. And it really sucks because the Red Wings Blackhawks rivalry is one of the best rivalries in the game, and it just hasn't felt that same level as other rivalries.
And I do want to throw out there too, you mentioned the Kachucks. Neither of these teams really have that kind of player. And even just, I mean, hockey nowadays, it's a different product than it was 20 years ago. It doesn't lend itself to the same kind of heated games that you would see back then, for better or for worse,
Well, before you used to expect to see a fight, or like when you went to hockey games, you used to expect to see a fight, and now it's like, oh wow, these guys are now fighting. Oh, they're throwing punch. Oh wow. Oh my goodness. And that's kind of where we're at right now too. And that's more like state of the game where the NHL's at. That's not like anything to do with the Hawks or Red Wings per se. It's just where hockey's at too. So can't do a whole lot about that. If you're enjoying this video, if you like what you see so far, be sure to, like this video, subscribe to the Hockey Writers on YouTube. send us some comments. If you got any questions or you got any concerns with the Red Wings, be sure to share it in the YouTube comment section. We're used to it by now as Red Wing fans, writers. It's not great, but it is great. The Hockey Writers YouTube channel. So be sure to subscribe to that.
That was smooth.
Smooth transitions. You should see me. You should see me when I play basketball. That was not very smooth.
Transition.
So let's move over to short-term expectations, because these teams meet again on February 27th. It's not that long. That's 8 days from now. That's coming up pretty quick. Let's start with the Blackhawks crew. So, Brooke, I'll start with you. What are your short-term expectations for your team between now and the next time they meet the Red Wings on February 27th?
My expectations is that we'll still keep on the winning streak that we got going right now. So I hope by the next time we see you, we'll probably beat you again. So my expectation is that we'll still be in a good place, and you guys are probably still struggling, which I actually truly do feel bad for you guys, because we were there last year. It sucks. I don't know what to tell you, but
we were too.
We were there last year.
When you have fans apologizing to you in opposing buildings when you leave after a loss, it's really demoralizing.
Yes. Yes.
Nimrit, I'll go to you. What are your expectations for the Blackhawks here in the next 8 days before they meet up with the Red Wings again?
Well, just looking at the schedule, playing Carolina and Columbus, and the last time we played them, we split the series. So I think we'll be at the top 3 of the division. But obviously, once we play the Red Wings, after we agree with Brooke, we might sweep you guys again. Sorry to say that, but it might have to happen again. But I think we're going to be in a good spot. We'll be like in the top 3 playoff position spot, yeah.
Yeah, so the Blackhawks might be all right then in these next, few days is what I'm hearing. Devin, I'll go to you. What are your expectations for the Red Wings here and between now and the next time they play the Hawks?
So, obviously the Wings are playing right now, and you can, the game's not done, but you can chalk that one up to a loss. They play again tomorrow against the Panthers. They've got 2 games then against the Predators, who I know we all love. I think just based off of their last couple of games against the Predators, I think they could take one of those. If not both, the Predators look like a hot mess. So I'm hoping that they get 1 win out of the next 4. That would be nice. And between now and then, fingers crossed, but the Wings might get Tyler Bertuzzi back. And I do think that specifically Larkin is really missing him. And I know, Brooke, you're a fan of him. Mm-hmm. He's a player that this team, not like it has a bunch of depth anyways, but when you're missing a guy like Bertuzzi, you can tell. And you'd like to get him back in the lineup.
Yeah, I miss Tyler Bertuzzi as much as the next person does. So hopefully we can get him back soon. Pat Brown, thoughts on the Red Wings for these next 8 days? What do you got?
I just want 1 power play goal. One power play goal. That's it. That's all I'm asking for between now and the 27th. So
a bell
week's
tire
worth
power
of time.
play.
A bell tire power play. Well, if we're going props, if they do get that power play goal.
Oh, no.
Ian's friend, if they do get that power play goal, Mr. Yukon Cornelius will say, Eureka, gold at last.
Wow, I was not expecting that.
It's Christmas. Brooke, what is this?
There we go. The Christmas tree brought out Mr. Yukon Cornelius. So there you go, Ian. That one's for you, buddy. That one's for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Pat. That's really nice of you. I was not expecting. That's a pleasant surprise. Thank you.
I do what I can.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's the Christmas spirit.
Yeah. This is the Christmas and February spirit that we have going on right now. In short, my expectations for the Red Wings are low these next few days. If you haven't seen the score tonight against Florida, don't. So I want to discuss with everyone here, because we're all in the same division this year. We are in the Discovery Central Division, and you can't spell COVID without Discovery. But let's discuss the rest of the Central. Brooke, I'll go with you first. What have you been your thoughts on the Central so far this season?
Honestly, our division, I'm surprised by how bad it is. Like, I don't know. I expected everyone to be a lot more competitive than they were last year. Like, Columbus is kind of and Carolina's kind of iffy, and I don't know. It's not what I was expecting. It's a lot worse than I was expecting, to be honest. It's kind of weird. I don't know what to say about that.
You know who is competitive in the Central is COVID with all the cases among the teams. Nimrit, I'll go to you. What's been a standout part of the Central Division for you so far?
I'm kind of just surprised that. I thought it was going to be really competitive. I mean, you have the division, but the Stars are really doing okay. But yeah, overall, I really feel like it should have been a lot more competitive than it is right now. But it's not even like halfway through the season yet, so anything can really happen with a shortened season. So I'll be excited to see what happens.
I'll throw this question out for both the Blackhawk riders. Do you guys think you can continue this for the rest of the season? Continue with how well you're playing?
Yes, considering our opponents. But I kind of agree with Nimrit, though. It still is early. It still is time for other teams to kind of gather themselves and kind of regroup. So I don't know how that's going to play out, but I think depending on who we're playing, yes, I do think we can continue. I think it's very reasonable to. I don't know how we do in the playoffs, but I definitely think we could still take on this division.
Never. Do you think they can continue for the rest of the division, the Blackhawks, with their winning ways?
Yeah, I would have to agree with Brooke. Maybe we don't finish second. Sure. Come playoff time, it's gonna be interesting to see, just because we have a lot of rookies on this team with Lakeinen and Suter. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens in the playoffs. But in terms of the season, I think we can pull through for sure.
Let's throw it over to the Red Wings then. Pat Brown, what are your thoughts on the Central Division as a whole so far?
Well, hang on. I'm just checking. DISCOVER. COVID. There it is. Yeah. There it is. Look at that. Wow. Sorry, it took me a minute there. So, Ian, you got me today, bud. Hats off to you. You got me today. Well done.
Ever a quote from this episode, it's that
one. Words to live by. So I actually think the Central is fairly strong. I think there's a number of good teams going against each other, and that's kind of diluting things. And as much as the Blackhawks have impressed me, let's not forget, in terms of points percentage, they're only a little bit above. I think they're at 0.661, something like that. But shameless plug, and Sean, who also writes for the Blackhawks, he and I both partook in the power rankings this week. My ballot, I actually had Florida second and Tampa Bay third. And the only reason is because Florida beat Tampa 2 out of 3 games. I can't justify putting a team above the other one. And you guys will be happy. I got Chicago. I put Chicago in at 12th because they're up there. They're right in the thick of it. They're going to be right in the playoff hunt. They've made that much clear. They're not going away. And I think it's going to be a dogfight the rest of the way amongst the contenders, because frankly, I think it's a number of good teams kind of beating up on each other, not being able to establish a groove because you're playing back-to-backs, which adjustments happen. It's almost like mini playoff series every time you're watching. And I think it's a pretty strong division. I think the Stanley Cup winner very well could come out of the Central, although Boston's looking pretty good right now too.
between Pat, Devin, and I, Pat, that second Tampa Bay loss, that's what we like to call a quality loss in the industry, big guy.
There you go. Oh boy.
It's against them too. That's something we can relate to.
Yeah, exactly. So, Devin, what do you think about the Central so far? A little over the quarter mark of the way.
Well, first and foremost, I just want to inform you that my eyes have just now dried from that COVID thing. Holy cow. But I think that looking at the Central Division, while there are 8 teams in it, I think it is now effectively a 6-team division. You can pretty much drop Detroit and Nashville out of it, which is fine. And then from there, you've got 6 teams that all are more than capable of doing some damage. I'm really curious to see how Dallas does. They're kind of stuck in neutral based on their record, but they also have only played 12 games. So they can kind of they can jump up if they get on a hot streak. And then Columbus too, I still think they're trying to find their way. I think Line, even though he scored a couple with them, I still think he's getting comfortable there, and they're trying to capture what they've had over the last couple of years. And then, I mean, Chicago's still surprising me. I'm not going to count them out at this point. They, like I said, if they're in they're in the second spot in the division at this point, I'm not going to count them out. I don't know, like. Yeah, you're welcome. That's the nicest thing I'll say. Pat, I think Pat hit the nail on the head. Or I'm pretty sure it was Pat. It's going to be a dogfight. There's going to be at least one, probably more likely than 2, really good teams that are going to miss out in this division.
And, none of us really mentioned it, but don't sleep on Carolina, who's tearing it up.
Yes.
I mean, they are at one point, as I was agonizing over the power rankings, I had them like second, and then I kind of slapped myself in the face. But they're
it's sketchy though.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And I mean, they're gonna be in it. They'll be in it.
They're 10-3-1, and I still think they're kind of a sleeping tiger. Like,
sure.
Pat, if before you interrupted me, I was going to say Carolina was my preseason pick to make the Stanley Cup finals.
I had to beat you to it, Ian.
Yeah, you did. But fair enough. And in regards to the COVID comment, there's a reason why I'm a communications major and not a math major or anything like that. Before we head out here, I should.
What does that do with math?
I'm not a numbers guy. I'm a words guy. I'm an English guy.
Okay. Okay.
I should say. So before we head out here, just around the league, takeaways, thoughts, or just things you've noticed throughout the whole league, not just the Central, not just Detroit, Chicago, any other things that have stood out to you in this league. Nimrod, I'll start with you first. Any takeaways, thoughts so far throughout the whole league?
It's been really fun watching the North Division just because I'm from Toronto, and the Toronto-Montreal rivalry is obviously really big. Mm-hmm. So it's really nice to see them at the very top of their division battling it out for the number 1 spot. It's something that we haven't seen in a while, and with the new division, we get to see that, and it's been really exciting to watch.
Brooke, any thoughts, takeaway from the whole league so far? A little over the quarter way through.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Nimrod. I really like the Canadian division. Ottawa has kind of surprised me a lot, to be honest. I thought they were going to be really, really bad, but I mean, I know they're not great, but they're fighting. They're a fighting team. They're kind of entertaining, I think. Toronto always surprises me a little bit because it seems like they can be good and be like really bad. So I don't know. They're kind of surprising me a little bit. And I think Boston has really surprised me too. The fact that they're still way up there and they don't seem to just be going away. So that's kind of my takeaways. There's a lot of things that are expected, like with these teams, that you would think they would be where they are. And then some that's been a little bit surprising. So it's been entertaining, I think, so far for this shortened season.
Pat, thoughts on the league, or what have you liked so far early on this season?
What have I liked? There hasn't been a whole lot to like. I would say.
This is just the league, not the Red Wings. This is just the league. You don't have to talk about the Red Wings. You get a few minutes to talk about something else.
I've been paying more attention to guys like Seider and Raymond, which I think says a lot. I've liked Seider, and I like that Seider is back in the lineup very good. Devin, I think you shared that clip of him picking someone's pocket behind the net the other day. Was that you? That was sick. I can't wait to see that in the NHL. For what it's worth, the biggest thing that has surprised me this year is honestly how bad the Rangers are.
Yeah.
I actually expected more. I don't know if this is still the case, but at one point it was someone posted on Twitter that Mark Stahl had as many goals as Lafreniere.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
I'm pretty sure he has more.
And Lankinen has more points than Lafreniere.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So, watch. This is what's going to happen. The Rangers will get another top 3 pick. I already told Ian and Devin, I told you guys that. The Rangers will get another top 3 pick, and then they'll change the rules next year to where you can only get a top 3 pick. You can't have that happen in back-to-back years. But it's actually surprised me how poor the Rangers have been playing. Maybe smarter people expected that, but I thought they were going to at least be competitive. A couple of good years of drafting, can't miss draft picks, and I expected a bit more.
Sure. Devin, your thoughts on the league, or what you've liked or surprised you so far?
So I don't remember who it was that tweeted this out, but save percentages around the league are way down. So based on that, you can assume that goal scoring is way up. And I think in general, I mean, especially up in that North Division, it seems like games are absolutely bonkers. There's that 6-5 game or whatever with Ottawa and Toronto. That doesn't happen. The 8-5 game with Edmonton and Ottawa. Apparently Ottawa is just nuts. And that's happening on a regular basis. So it's driving coaches crazy. I know that much, but for a from a hockey watcher perspective, it's a lot of fun to watch because it's craziness. And then the other thing is that you had to kind of expect it, at least to some degree, just given the times we're in, but just how much COVID has rampaged the American divisions. It's been I applaud the North Division. There's only really been a couple things here and there, but they've been pretty they haven't really had to deal with stuff. And then you had Dallas that had to wait an extra week or two before they could start. And then you had teams like Boston who didn't have tests, but they had to be in standby because they had no one to play. Carolina had to sit by. Minnesota has had to sit. Where, knock on wood, but the Wings haven't been like rampage like that. They had their 5 players on the list that one period of time, but they haven't had to like miss games because of it, luckily. But just to see how much COVID has really affected the schedule so far this season has been eye-opening.
And not trying to jinx anything, knock on wood, I hope everything's good. It looks like we're trending in the right direction, or we're doing a little bit better than we were, say, a few months ago. Yeah, like that. I'm not trying to jinx anything. It's just something I've noticed. We're looking a little bit better in the league. I think Buffalo and New Jersey have now gotten back into play. Colorado's going to be playing. Colorado's been playing Vegas, but they're going to be playing them this weekend in Tahoe. So that should be really cool to see.
And you hate to say it too, because like it's, you don't want to see anyone get it, but once you get it, you're not going to get it again for at least a little bit. So there is that kind of side of it where we are going to be good for a little bit because these teams are over the hump now,
Again, you hope so. Like, we just want hockey. As long as players and coaches and everyone involved does the right thing, that's the most important thing.
Absolutely.
I should mention that one of my good buddies, Scott, he's an Anaheim Ducks fan. I think they're like approximately like 500. They're doing well. He's really hyped about John Gibson. Max Comtois leads the team in goals. I think I saw, like, that's former Team Canada captain of the World Juniors. So just a quick shout out to the Ducks. They look like not world beaters, but they look like they can
functional.
Functional. They can.
And they've got Zegras and Drysdale coming up.
They look like they can be a competitive team every night, and especially when you got like one of the best goalies in John Gibson in your crease, like you're not going to be that bad unless you really
Yeah.
have some awful players. But yeah, that's the Hockey Writers Grind Line plus Blackhawks Banter. Are we calling it Grind Line Banter? Is that what we were calling it before?
Grind line banter.
Grind
That's-
banter.
Grind banter.
Grind banter. I like grind banter.
Banter
That-
line Blackhawk grind. I don't know.
We'll work on that this week. A new
There you
name
go.
for when we come together. But thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Again, if you like this video, like it on YouTube. If you like what you're seeing, be sure to subscribe to the Hockey Writers YouTube channel. We got so much new stuff coming in. Like we got the Sabres scoop. The Flames are doing their show. The Flames Riders. I should wear my Blasty jersey. One
Yes,
show
you should.
to cross promote
Ooh.
that.
Maybe they'll let you
Hockey
on.
Writer. Maybe they'll let me on. I can simp over Matthew Tkachuk for a good 30 minutes. The Hockey Writers Live is on Wednesdays. Blackhawks Banter is on Mondays. News and Rumors is on Saturday. Go subscribe to the Hockey Writers Live on YouTube. You're making a mistake if you don't. Any other final thoughts, takeaways before we head out, everyone? Anything before we go?
COVID's in Discovery.
COVID is in Discovery. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. We hope you enjoy the show. We can't wait to be back again next week. Thanks again. Have a good night.